My name is Tim Bushnell, and I'm running for re-election for the Johnson Ranch Board of Directors, and I'm asking for your vote. I chose to run for re-election for the Board of Directors because I plan to be a lifelong resident of Johnson Ranch. Therefore, it is important to me to help Johnson Ranch maintain an attractive place to live. In terms of qualifications, it can be summed up in one word, and that's experience. Volunteer experience, work experience, educational experience. In 2007, I was elected to the first Johnson Ranch Board of Directors, and thanks to the trust of the Johnson Ranch homeowners, have been re-elected every year since. In addition, my fellow board members elected me as the first treasurer for Johnson Ranch and have re-elected me every year since. I'm proud to say that Johnson Ranch has always maintained a strong financial position with reasonable dues, even during the housing crisis and its long recovery. Johnson Ranch is made up of a diverse community of many, many different types of families. No matter what type of family you live in, there's always one challenge, and that's money. Therefore, for me, the top priority is to make sure that we keep reasonable dues while maintaining our common areas and amenities and allowing improvements. My second priority is communications. The board needs to listen to and understand the issues and concerns of all Johnson Ranch residents in order that we make good decisions that benefit the entire community. In addition to that, it's important that the Johnson Ranch Board communicate with the homeowners so they can understand the decisions that are made, the issues that have been identified, the activities within Johnson Ranch. To do this, it's important to use all methods of communication: Facebook, email, banners, letters, surveys, whatever it takes to get a two-way communication going. Johnson Ranch Board of Directors has a fiduciary responsibility to maintain current assets for Johnson Ranch. In order to do this, there are two funds: the Reserve Fund and the Operating Fund. The Reserve Fund is where money is set aside for major repairs and replacement of current assets. The Johnson Ranch Board periodically employs a professional reservist to make sure that that fund is adequately provided for. The Operating Fund is where all other money for Johnson Ranch is spent, and that includes day-to-day operation as well as improvements. I will ensure that during the budget development process, we meet the day-to-day operating needs of Johnson Ranch, as well as provide for improvements identified by the residents of Johnson Ranch. I'm happy to say that in the last several years, we've been able to increase the amount of money allocated to improvements based on good budget management. If you have some additional questions, I'll be at Indigo Sky on March the 4th, at the park off of Stardust and Denham on March the 11th, and Lakeview on March 18th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. each Saturday. Thank you very much for considering me for re-election to the Johnson Ranch Board of Directors.
Hi, my name is Michelle DeVoe, and I have been a resident of Johnson Ranch for 13 years. I moved here after living for 10 years in Boston and spending some of my formative years in Australia, which explains the accent. My family predominantly lives on the East Coast and Midwest, but they frequently love to visit me in Arizona. So question 1 from the nominating committee: what motivated your decision to run, and what are your qualifications or skills? A little background. I've been attending board meetings for about 10 years and have been suggesting for many years that Johnson Ranch needed to have a recycling program. In 2015, I again proposed this, and they agreed to form a committee and research and present the findings to the board. As the chairman of this committee, we were able to lock in a contract until 2022 at no additional cost. With the highest number of votes casted by residents, this important service was able to be implemented for everyone. So from this experience, I saw a board that was willing to listen to residents and make Johnson Ranch a better place for everyone. When a position opened up in August last year, I felt it was important to lend my voice and my skills in planning for the continued success of our community. I applied and was elected on the board and appointed secretary. I believe my skills in my professional life as a technical project manager can be applied to a board member for the betterment of Johnson Ranch. As a project manager, I have the responsibility of ensuring project goals are met. This requires skills in the contract negotiation, budgeting, time management, critical thinking, long-term strategy planning, and problem solving, all of which will be needed in the coming years for Johnson Ranch board members. Question 2 from the committee. What do I see as the top 2 priorities? The first priority I see is ensuring we maintain our current amenities. Many people think our amenities are just the pools, sports courts, and playgrounds. But actually, our amenities also include the numerous parks, the thousands of square feet of granite, thousands of trees and plants, our walking paths, our fencing, and even our subdivision entrances. All of these things collectively make up the amenities of Johnson Ranch, and all of these things are what makes Johnson Ranch a desirable community. To maintain this desirability, the board needs to spend wisely today and ensure that we have enough saved away for the future for these amenities when they need repair, replacement, or upgrading. The second priority I see goes hand in hand with the first priority, and that is to improve our housing values and our quality of life. Although no one can predict accurately what housing markets will do, it is imperative that Johnson Ranch maintains its desirability, not only for its amenities that it provides, but also for the low cost to each homeowner and the financial stability that we as a community share. Through a conservative spending and an eye towards our future needs, I believe we can achieve these goals. And question 3, how would you balance improvement versus your fiduciary responsibility? Although it would be nice to be able to put new amenities in every year, I believe it is important to keep in mind 2 things before doing so. Firstly, it is important what the majority of the community wants. Do we want this amenity? Secondly, what are the costs to not only implement it, but what will be the ongoing costs for things like maintenance, utility, or even staffing? We currently have a wide assortment of amenities and very low dues in comparison to what other communities provide. I believe it is important for the board to always remember the financial impact of our current Johnson Ranch residents as well as our future Johnson Ranch residents when considering any additional amenity or spending. So finally, I hope my conservative approach to spending, my planning and contract negotiation skills, and my vision for an increased home value and for a quality of life earn your vote for me as a member on the Johnson Ranch board. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Jones. For the past 2 years, I've been serving as your HOA president, and I made a decision that I wanted to stay on the board for another 2 years and run for another recycle. The Homeowners Association, our homeowners group, has developed a group of questions that they've asked each of us to address. And I want to go in and I'd like to give a little bit of my quick background. I've worked as a real estate broker for about the last 40 years. I worked in California and I owned a company there that did real estate and mortgage lending. I also, during that period of time, served as a HOA president for 2 years on another association there. So I've got the background having worked on an association at that point in time, and then for the last 2 years having served here in Johnson Ranch. So I think my skills are certainly that of being able to work with people and listen to what people have to say, and I consider myself fairly good at at solving particular problems and stuff that homeowners are addressing. They asked me why I ran for the board, and I'm going to regress back to 2 years ago. At that particular time, the board was considering building a community center. I had real serious concerns about the money that was going to be spent on that, and I questioned whether or not the existing board was had done their due diligence and determined that there was an actual serious interest on part of the homeowners or having a large 10,000 square foot community center and spending millions of dollars. After I got elected on the board, you know, we made the determination we weren't going to move ahead with that type of project. And while I was campaigning, one of the other questions that a lot of people asked me, and one of my concerns was, a lot of people felt that they weren't being listened to by the existing board of directors. And one of the first things that I did after getting elected on the board was I made a decision that we were going to change our monthly meetings. And after doing that, any homeowner that came to the meetings, at least in the last year and a half or so, has had an opportunity to address the board, express their concerns or anything that they had, and certainly had an opportunity to speak to the board. One of the other things that I initiated right off the bat was to set up where every month we have a work session, and those work sessions are primarily designed so that homeowners can come in a very relaxed atmosphere and share the ideas that they have upon the topics that the board is going to be working on for the next board meeting and voting on it. It gives everybody an opportunity in a low-key environment to really share and hear what the homeowners have to say and get their input on it. Two of the questions that also they wanted us to address was what we thought our two top priorities were here in Johnson Ranch. And I would have to say that I feel that every board's basically their primary responsibility is making sure that our financial picture has stability, that we are collecting the necessary money that we need to make sure that our amenities and everything that we have are going to be maintained. The other thing that I look at being a real estate broker is Johnson Ranch doing the things that's necessary to maintain homeowners' property values here in the community. You know, we have a lot of things that we have. There's new developments being built out here in the southeast area, and I feel it's extremely important for Johnson Ranch to maintain our community, have it look good, and not only that, but provide the type of amenities that people are looking for. So, you know, we want to make sure that we're competing with developments in the area. Two more questions they've asked is concerning improvements to the community, and how does that fill with our fiduciary responsibilities? And I would say that I feel again that our primary responsibility is to maintain our community and uphold our property values. The other issue would be to make improvements here in the community. And I would have to say that my feeling is very strong that we have an obligation to maintain the existing facilities, and the only time that I would support additional improvements to the community would be after we have done research, we found out what the homeowners want, and to make sure that our finances are in excellent condition before we would spend any additional money for doing that. So those of you that are watching this tape tonight have had an opportunity to see the activities and how I've run the association in the past 2 years. I would really like to stay on and represent the homeowners of Johnson Ranch, and I hope that I have your vote going forward. Thank you.
My name is Robert Lampers, and I'm running for the HOA Board of Directors for Johnson Ranch Community. I was motivated by the change in the pool rules, by a lot of rules being enforced and coming into play that were changing from when I moved in here. And I wanted to see the community become a better place for the kids and for my fellow neighbors. The top two priorities I see for Johnson Ranch is making this more a family-friendly community where the board seeks to make it better for the kids and for the families that live here, to remove the other rules like no commercial vehicles that are in good repair that are pickup trucks or anything else that are parked in people's driveways. I don't think those rules need to be in place. I don't believe that it diminishes our community's value. We are a community of working people, and we need to support each other in everything we do. I would balance the improvements to this community and my responsibility as a fiduciary of the board by only paying for those improvements that we have funded, not borrowing money, not issuing special assessments, and making sure that the improvements that we do pay for improve value to each homeowner's property and to the association as a whole.
Hi, my name's Dave Pensick, and I am running for the board. This is an important speech, so please allow me to read it. First question was, what motivated your decision to run for the board of directors, and what are your qualifications and skills in your personal and professional background that have prepared you for this position? I am motivated because of the deterioration of Johnson Ranch. When I moved here 14 years ago, Johnson Ranch had green grass year-round. The trees and bushes were well maintained. About 7.5 years ago, I started attending HOA meetings. They were led by Bill Golden and Tim Bushnell. They didn't do any maintenance for years as they saved for a community center. Then 2 years ago, David Jones and Dick Peterson were elected with the help of a group called Citizens for Johnson Ranch, which David Jones belonged to. They started throwing money at DLC and CCMC to use and not to use the money for the people. As for my qualifications and skills, I have attended state HOA training 3 times and was one of the few people to attend. No board members have attended except for Sandy Russell. I was the supervisor and had to handle budgets and to make major decisions. What do you see as your 2 priorities for Johnson Ranch community and why? This is an important time for Johnson Ranch. We have contracts for DLC and CCMC coming up, and I would push for 1-year contracts and a fair deal for us. The second priority is having a board take bids for all projects over $5,000 and for the board to provide a project manager for these projects so we get what we pay for. How would you balance improvements to the community versus frugality responsibilities in maintaining the community? I'd like to use this time to compare my ideas to the actions of David Jones and Tim Bushnell. They gave DLC, the highest bidder, a $1.7 million contract to install new irrigation pipes and granite. I would have spread it out so that the repairs would be done in the sections that needed it, and we would have money for other things. They take a survey to see what people want. The people said they wanted common areas improved. So what does David Jones and Tim Bushnell think are improvements? Curbing and cleaning culverts at a cost of $200,000. Once again, more money for DLC. I see taking that $200,000 and combining it with $50,000 for a splash pad. You can't get any good splash pads for $50,000. And install a great splash pad, ramadas, that would give people a place to sit and meet their neighbors, and also give everyone a place to cool off in the hot summer. And so, if you'd like to continue to get your HOA's fees raised from the people who initiated the highest increase in the history of Johnson Ranch, vote for David Jones and Tim Bushnell. If you like the way the landscaping looks and the job DLC is doing, vote for David Jones and Tim Bushnell. If you like the HOA board throwing money at DLC and CCMC, vote for David Jones and Tim Bushnell. If you like your members of the board to have special interest group connections to special interest groups, vote for David Jones and Tim Bushnell. If you want a treasurer that has said he doesn't understand the budget and it was like spaghetti accounting, vote for Tim Bushnell. If you want to keep listening to people do what they want, vote for David Jones and Tim Bushnell. If you want people that take 4 months to make a decision on pool toys and not come up with a solution, vote for David Jones and Tim Bushnell. Now is the time for change. But if you want someone whose only group he is accountable to, the people of Johnson Ranch, vote for David Pensick. If you want someone who has attended HOA classes, vote for David Pensick. If you want someone who's given the board complete proposals for ramadas, community centers, splash pads, community self-security, pond improvements, common area improvements, and usable sports fields, only to have them thrown away by the board, vote for David Pensick. With the money we have, we can build splash pads, tennis courts, and a dog park. Let's do it together. Vote for David Pensick. Please vote for David Pensick, as I want to restore Johnson Ranch the way it was 14 years ago when I moved in. Thank you again, and please vote for David Pensick and ask your friends to do the same.
Hi, my name is Jack Rudy, and I live here in Johnson Ranch for the past seven years, and have always appreciated how the community has been run. I've seen many changes, though, as we come into yet another phase, where all the new construction is almost complete. Once again, we'll need to continue change and vision for our future. My entire career has been one of service, whether that is serving our country or the customers that I've dealt with. I believe my experience in banking, finance, and customer service has prepared me to serve Johnson Ranch with a clear vision for continued success. Our youth is something that I'm very concerned with. I love seeing the basketball courts filled with kids practicing their skills and our green spaces filled with kids and soccer balls. But my perception is that we should be doing more for the youth of our community, with additional organized clinics and activities. On the other hand, Johnson Ranch is a diverse community with many northerners and snowbirds moving here, and we need to continue to appeal to those who are looking for the active Arizona lifestyle. Solera has been successful in creating community, and I believe that we need to be working hard to create community for Johnson Ranch. First of all, I would consider myself as a physical conservative. Don't be spending money that we don't have. If we can look out over the next 1 to 5 years and project our needs, I believe that we can obtain our goals to continue looking after our members. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sandy Russell. I'm running for the election to the Johnson Ranch Community Association's Board of Directors. Just a little background information. My husband and I have been homeowners in the Greens 2 neighborhood of Johnson Ranch since the early 2012. It was our first experience with a home purchase in a planned community and learning what an HOA was all about. We're originally from Seattle area, where we both grew up. We met and got married and raised our family there. It took us a while to adjust to the climate difference between Seattle and Arizona, but we soon realized that as long as we had access to a good AC in the car and one in the house and access to a swimming pool, we wouldn't melt. We became active in our community and started attending the board meetings shortly after the beginning of 2014. I'm proud to say that I've attended about every one of the HOA meetings, including the work sessions, since then. I've learned about a lot about Arizona statutes for HOAs by attending the free classes that are offered at the college at the Santan campus. I'll be going there again this spring, and I would recommend it to all my neighbors to see them there also. Last year I volunteered for the Johnson Ranch Nominating Committee and served as the chairperson. It was the first year for the electronic voting. This past September, I was appointed to fill a vacancy on the JR Board of Directors. I also serve as the board liaison for the newly formed Landscape Committee. I think the original motivation for me to run for the board started soon after I started attending the board meetings and the classes. The more I learned about my HOA, the more important it was to be active in any way that I could. Like many of JR's homeowners, the purchase of our home here was a major investment for us, an investment that we wanted to make sure we protected. As far as my skills or qualifications that have prepared me for a position on the board, other than the couple of months I've been on it so far, I don't have a long list of college degrees to put on my resume for the board. I don't have any COO or CEO after my name. Instead, most of my life's experiences come from being a wife, W-I-F-E, behind my name, for many years, to the same man, and a mom to four beautiful daughters that blessed me with the best grandchildren ever. I have been employed in retail and as an office manager. I've also worked as an estimator's assistant for a general contractor, where I was involved in preparing bid requests for subcontractors and suppliers, and provided administrative support to 3 project managers. Things I do feel that are important traits for an HOA board member, and things I do often, are research and ask questions, and don't give up until I get answers. The priorities I've been asked to talk about that I'd like to see for the JR community. It's a very large community with over 6,000 homes and 20,000 or more population. I'd like to see additional committees to assist the board and benefit the entire community. It's often said that communities are the lifeblood of a community association, and with that I totally agree. I'd love to see more communities, like a safety committee, to organize block watches, maybe financial committees, social committees, rules and regulation committees, and I'm sure there's many more there too. There's lots of talented and qualified people in JR that are willing and able to fulfill the need. The board just needs to ask. I'd also like to try again holding some town hall style meetings. We had them before when we were investigating the community center, but this would be something that would not be a board meeting, no voting or no agenda. The homeowners would comment and have questions answered and suggestions. Hopefully that would get more participation from all homeowners and residents from all age groups, from singles and young families to grandparents and retirees, and possibly get those with working schedules that conflicted with the regular meetings. Maybe they could attend more often. To balance improvements versus fiduciary duty, like most of the homeowners, I'm sure I have a sizable wish list of new amenities that I'd like to see also, but I'm sure the expense for those would be pretty hefty also. The board has to spend wisely to protect the homeowner's property values. No one wants to see a large lump sum special assessment. Johnson Ranch Board of Directors has the fiduciary duty to put many of the associates' contracts out for bid well before the budget sessions get underway. The excuse in October of 2014 of we didn't have time to do that is wasn't acceptable then to me, and will never be acceptable as a homeowner or a board member. I look forward to meeting many of you at the candidates meet and greet on Wednesday, March 1st. Please come to me with your questions. I'm asking for your vote and will do my very best to serve the entire Johnson Ranch community if elected. Please remember to vote. Thank you very much.